name is Chelsea Bente, and I'm the Associate Dean of Students, and I work in the Dean of Students office, obviously. And so I'm going to be talking about our Basic Needs program, which I help oversee. So to get started, I want to share a video first of a former student who actually was a recipient of some of our Basic Needs services, and she really gives a great overview of the Basic Needs program and all the services that it provides. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
I am more than my environment. Hi, my name is Alviana Johnson. I am currently the Director of External Affairs and Student Government, and I struggled as a homeless student. First transfer here, I transferred from San Diego, and leaving an environment you know so well and you get so acclimated to that you come to love, it's really difficult coming into a new place because I didn't have any family or friends here. And I had to work a lot because I had to pay rent. It's my first time having to pay rent, and I had to go to school full time because that's what college students do. They go to school full time, and I didn't really know how to manage that lifestyle of being an independent person fully for the first time, but also being a student full time. And so my first semester, I got really bad grades, and they put me on academic probation. And so my second semester, I only took 3 classes trying to, get myself back up, and I did really well, but it was also the time where I became homeless. I slept in my car for 6 weeks. I thought this was a problem that I created, so I had to fix it. I would drive to a certain neighborhood because there was a cul-de-sac and no houses stayed in that cul-de-sac. It was a clear area, just brush and trees, and every once in a while, I would go to that place just to get a good night's sleep. But an officer would come and knock on my window, and he would ask me like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just trying to get some sleep. So he would suggest like, how about you go to a friend's house? I'm like, I don't have any friends. He was all like, you should go to a friend's house. I'm like, I don't have any friends. He was like, okay, go to a friend's house. I'm like, clearly you don't get it. And so I just drove down PCH and slept down on PCH. This continued for weeks, literally, until it came to a point where one of my professors was like, Alviana, you're not doing good in classes. You haven't been turning in your work. And I was like, yeah, I understand. I know. And I ended up telling him my story of having the officer knock on my window. And I didn't know it impacted him so much that day when we had that conversation, but it was that story in that office where it was at that moment where so many lives began to change. Even though we didn't know that was that moment, he helped me get in touch with people in the Basic Needs and Care office, where I was able to stay on campus for 10 nights for free, and I got free meals. It was just sleeping in a bed for that first time after sleeping in my car for all those days and nights. It just felt so good. And it wasn't the comfort of actually staying in a stable place. It was a comfort that somebody was looking out for. Like, that set a precedent for so many students who are now able to use the food pantry, who are now able to get free housing on campus, who are now using the hot meals program to get free swipes and go get a hot meal. If a student is struggling and they haven't eaten in a while, then they can go into the food pantry. There's a lady there who can help them, and she will give them a hot meals card. There's 2 meal swipes, and so students can go to the Islands Cafe and they can use those 2 meal swipes. And Islands Cafe is awesome for students who don't have a stable home, who can't cook food, and who have been hungry for a while. They need that hot meal. The people who help out the most are the people who struggle with that issue the most, which would be students, of course. And so on our campus, we do this thing where we allow students to donate 1 meal swipe at the beginning of the semester. And we were so successful this semester that students donated over 530 meal swipes, which is super awesome. So already students know about this cause, they care about this cause, and they care about each other enough to give meal swipes. Anyone can donate. If you're a student, staff, faculty, if you're an external client, if you don't even go here, you live in another country, all good. There are also staff and faculty who donated during that first week, and they donated $390, which is awesome. But if you want to donate more, please donate more. If you only want to donate $1, please donate $1. Anything that you give helps out a student. It helps us make it to that next day. I just want to say, from a person who struggled so much, thank you for listening to this video. Thank you for hearing my story, because this is not something that's just going to help me out. It's not about me. It's about helping out the community. We want to see our students survive and thrive. And so that's what this is helping our students do. So thank you.
All right, so I just think it's such a great video to watch Alviana, and she did graduate, and it's a great success story for us. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here, our PowerPoint, and re-review what Alviana kind of highlighted, which is our program and what we have to offer and how we're here to support students who might be dealing with basic needs insecurities. So to begin, we address food and hygiene security, housing security, and financial security. And so these are short-term solutions that we try to provide assistance to students that will get them to long-term goals. So to start, we've got our Dolphin Pantry curbside pickup. This is currently operating. We are currently physically going down to campus every Tuesday. This is a little snapshot of our pantry too. We are there on Tuesdays from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. We also do appointment. This is in the A5 parking lot by Royal Hall. Eventually, as you familiarize yourself with campus, it'll be a recognizable place. Right now, we are currently figuring out our fall 2021 hours, since we do know we'll be mostly in person, but we do imagine we'll continue some kind of curbside model. The thing I want to highlight is, along with food that we have fresh produce and dry goods and things like that. We also have hygiene supplies and cleaning supplies. It's unlimited in terms of access to come to the pantry. And so it's a great resource if you need to supplement food in some way, and it's free. So continuing on, we also provide assistance to sign students up to CalFresh. And if you're familiar or not familiar with CalFresh, it's a nutrition program that helps households buy healthy foods. And it's actually administered through the federal government, but CalFresh is kind of California's version of SNAP, if you're familiar with that, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And so the benefits are issued to individuals on a card, like a debit card, and it can be used in most grocery stores to purchase food. On the screen, it says eligible up to $194 a month. It's actually more than that right now due to COVID. There's a lot of benefits with that. And so with that, folks can get that amount added to their budget per month. So it's a great resource to determine eligibility. We can help with that. And so you can reach out to us on this screen too. You can see the link on how you can also apply through our resource. And you could do this today. And I also want to mention too, with the pantry, if you're local and want to access our Dolphin Pantry, you can start accessing it next week on Tuesday. So these are all available to you. There are some components with CalFresh that may not make somebody eligible, but we can work through that and walk through the application with you if you're ever interested. So to do that, we have a link or an email address that you can email us, and we will help you through that process. Transitioning over to the hot meals program that Alviana highlighted is we do, when we are on campus, provide hot meals cards, because while the pantry is wonderful, sometimes you don't have a space to prepare food when you're on campus. And if you're in have a long day and are in classes all day, it might be really hard to get hot meals. And so this is a program that we will provide hot meals to an individual. This is really if there's a demonstrated need, and it's through a case management process. But a student can access this and get up to 2 meals on their card, preloaded, and this is towards the Islands Cafe. So it's a great additional resource that we like to provide to students as well. Transitioning over to emergency housing. So as Alviana indicated, she accessed emergency housing, and we do provide placement on campus for up to 10 nights. Mostly we place students in a motel in Camarillo. It's kind of through a motel voucher program. And this will give individuals up to 15 plus nights. We actually can go all the way up to 28 nights at the motel. And so this is a resource that's available if a student might be couch surfing, has been evicted, is in an unsafe living situation, homeless. And so if for some reason you find yourself in this kind of circumstance or situation, please reach out to us, because we do want to make sure that housing is provided and that we can get you a stable housing for that period of time. Or if you have a friend that's dealing with this, let them know about our program and how we might be able to assist them. We also try to work to connect students to county resources as well. So that kind of goes to the short-term solution and connecting to long-term solutions while dealing with those circumstances. Next, we have our financial security programs. So we have a basic needs grant, and we also have an Echo Your Heart grant. The basic needs grant is for currently enrolled students who may have exhausted their aid, so that could include loans, that are dealing with something catastrophic or unforeseen. I usually equate that to, the car tire blowout happens on the freeway that can really impact somebody's budget, monthly budget. And so this is what this grant is designed for, is to help those kind of circumstances that you just did not expect. It can also be medical situations, things like that too. And then Echo Your Heart is similar to the basic needs grant in that it is eligible, or a student can be eligible when there's a declared state or federal emergency. So for example, we actually launched this program amidst the fires that were happening in the community. However, since COVID has hit, we've actually been able to use this resource to distribute funding to students on an emergency basis as well. And then supporting some of the other financial well-being aspects that we think are important. We help with kind of triaging and troubleshooting transportation issues, technology access. So we have purchased 25 laptops that are rented out through the library. We just launched an outdoor study space initiative on campus for students to study on campus so that they can be in a distraction-free location with reliable Wi-Fi access. And then we also have hotspots that are available through the library that we've also helped finance as well through the basic needs program. Moreover, we have an Echo's Clothing Exchange, which is a clothing closet, basically. So it has a variety of clothing. Also Career and Development Services has a Echo Career Closet, so that if you need appropriate attire for an interview as you're going through that process, that is also an available resource. Right now, our Echo's Clothing Exchange, as indicated, is currently closed, but we are tentatively hoping to reopen in the fall. And then lastly, we provide financial literacy support because all these things, sometimes when you're going on your own and first living on your own, it can be difficult managing a budget and figuring out the expenses of all the things that are entailed with that, whether it's utilities and food and housing, rent. I mean, rent is really expensive. So we help to support thinking through and troubleshooting through those financial difficulties and helping students manage their budgets as well. So there are ways to get involved too. So let's say you don't necessarily need to access the program, but you really want to have some involvement with it. We do have student assistant positions that are available with the program. We also have students that volunteer with the program. So we've got anywhere up to about 20 students each year when we are in person that will help out. And that can include helping out with the pantry, helping out at our garden, providing support for feminine hygiene, free feminine hygiene products that we provide in the restrooms, CalFresh outreach. So there's a lot of ways to get engaged with this program that are fun and just, we have a great time working this program. We have a number of students that conduct research or do projects within their class. So if this is an area of interest for you, you can link it in. And that video of Alviana, that was actually done by a student that was in a communication class. She created the video, edited it, and it was actually used for some of our donor relations and support to support our Hot Meals program. So there's ways to kind of get engaged in this program in other ways. And then also, if you're financially able, you can consider donating food, funding, or hygiene to the program. As LULAC just went through, if you're in that session, they talked about how they support the pantry. A lot of clubs and orgs do that. So it's a great way to kind of give back and do fundraising or do ways to support your fellow students that might be dealing with these difficult issues. So here is our contact information. Again, I'm with the Dean of Students office. Our Dolphin Pantry is in Arroyo Hall. Our email is basicneeds@cucci.edu, and our website is there too, which has a great wealth of resources. We are very active on Instagram. You can follow us at CI_basic-needs. And we don't just post things about resources in Ventura County. So if you're not local to the area, we do try to link in some of our adjacent counties, such as LA and Santa Barbara, to also share those resources that are available to students or individuals in case they need it. So that concludes the basic needs presentation and overview. And I want to open it up for questions that folks might have. And I can go ahead and let's see, your stop share. And there we go.
Perfect. So we do have one question in the chat right now. So these are prospective students. Are they allowed to use these resources now, or do they need to be registered for fall? When can they start using these things?
Great question. So for our Dolphin Pantry, you can absolutely begin using it if you're interested and available or and local to the campus. So we are open, like I said, every Tuesday right now, 12:30 to 3:30, also by appointment. So if you're interested, feel free to just email basicneeds@cucci.edu. For CalFresh application assistance, we can provide that too, as well as you're looking to come here to campus. For emergency housing and for the financial grants, those are available once you are fully enrolled at the university. So that you do have to be a matriculating student. And I didn't really highlight this, but the purpose of this program really is to support students to get to graduation, right? And kind of like Alviana's story, we want to try to support students to get to that end game. So essentially, if a student is matriculating, then we can help support with financial grants as well as emergency housing, but food access is available.
Thank you. And I know CalFresh, that has an application. There's some like kind of, bureaucracy type thing going on with there. Are like our Dolphin pantries and things like that. Do students have to prove their need to actually use these things on campus?
Wonderful question too. So for the pantry, you do not need to prove your need. So it is accessible and open for anybody. For emergency housing, that also, if a student says they're in an unsafe situation or are homeless or evicted, things like that, we take their word for that, because I think it's really important that we get students placed as quickly as possible, and then we can work through, some of the resources and support that might need to happen after the fact. But housing to me is the most critical thing that we want to make sure that students are placed, and we usually can place students same day in these different resources. But yes, for the other elements for CalFresh and for the grants, there are some things that we might have to check in terms of eligibility, because we are accessing and tapping into resources beyond what Cal State Channel Islands has. So for example, CalFresh is administered through the federal government. So there are checks and balances around eligibility and, status and things like that are beyond our control. Of course, we would love to have it differently, but we can't control that. And then same goes for the financial grant. It is tied to somebody's financial aid. So we do have to make sure we're working with financial aid through those processes.
Great, thank you. And we have another question that just came in. So if a student does need help with housing and they go past their allotted time, so past those 10 days in our residence halls, or past, I think the cap was, you said 28 days, maybe at our local motel, what happens after? How does this basic needs situation help them find housing?
Absolutely. So we have a case manager that works with students specifically around these issues. So once a student is connected with us and we get them placed, they're going to be working with that case manager to talk about options, weighing out county resources, things like that, to see what might be available for a student. And it's very case by case, so it's hard to kind of speak specifically on, what might happen, but usually we are able to cover students' housing and kind of give them that gap time to kind of figure out their circumstances and situation. We've been pretty fortunate that there's only been a handful of times where a student has not been able to find housing, but with that, we're able to connect them to the county to kind of step in there to provide support. But most often there is, something on the horizon. So we've been pretty fortunate there, but it is something that we've been talking about, how we can continue to expand and provide additional support there. But again, kind of going to the intent of the program, it's also, we're here to provide that short-term solution to really help students to that next step. And so sometimes, 28 nights may not fully meet that, but it is hopefully a time that will help a student through their circumstances. So.
Great. And what kind of feedback, or what would you tell a student that's maybe feeling nervous about asking for help or utilizing our services?
Great question. It's okay. What I commonly hear is, I don't want to go to the basic needs program because I don't have it as bad as so-and-so. And the reality is that had I known about these resources as a student, and I'm an alum, I totally would have tapped into it. I mean, you think about CalFresh and what it can do for a student to add to your budget. That's huge. These resources are here for students. We try to make it as accessible as possible. Our folks are willing and able to talk through any kind of circumstance and situation, and you're not alone, and you don't need to suffer in silence. I think that's the biggest thing, is that sometimes we're told not to talk about our money, but we really need to talk about our money, because if we are struggling, there are a lot of resources out there that can really support somebody. So don't be shy. We're here, and we're willing to support you and your challenges that you might be dealing with. So, yeah.
Other questions come in. Does it provide any type of health care or any help with that?
So we don't specifically provide healthcare services. We do have a student health center on campus that's available for students, that provides some minimal services that are going to help students, whatever their situation is, and might refer them out to other areas. We also, our case manager is a licensed psychologist too. So she is able to kind of triage around mental health and support with that. And then even with CalFresh, for example, if a student is eligible for CalFresh, they're likely eligible for Medicare. So we might help a student get directed to Medicare to get signed up for health insurance benefits and things like that. So we don't specifically provide, health care per se, but we can definitely refer students and support them through that referral process.
Great, thank you. So we have about 5 minutes left. No questions left in our queue. Oh, nope, just how much is it to live in at the campus? So that's going to be kind of addressed a little bit later. I can answer that in the Q&A. Won't be addressed directly to Chelsea here. But to meet with you or to meet with somebody in the program, do they need to have an appointment? Should they email you directly? Is there a Zoom they can do now?
Great question. So I'll go ahead and put it in the chat that you can just email basicneeds@ccuci.edu. Our Instagram too. So students will direct message us there. So we will respond. We actually have a group of students too that help us manage the Instagram page. We post videos of how to cook food and meals and things like that. So there are a lot of things that we are available. And then folks can definitely email me if there's ever any questions too. So I'll put my email in the chat as well. So we're available. We're here. Reach out if you need any support.
Perfect. And actually, I thought of a nice question. So for our students that are utilizing maybe the Hot Meals program and things like that, maybe they don't want to showcase that they're using these services. Is there some discretion? Does that look different in any way? Are they still going to our same dining commons?
Yeah, so the Hot Meals card, it looks just like any any swiped card that we provide on campus. So it's very nonchalant. You wouldn't know any difference. And there's 2 swipes available on it. So it doesn't, call you out like this is for basic needs or anything like that. It's kind of like a gift card. And then even with our Dolphin Pantry, like the bags that we give out, it just has a CI logo on it. And we do give out free bags, FYI, if you want some nice totes. So we try to be, kind of discretionary in terms of how much we showcase those types of things where there might be like a feeling of like, oh gosh, I don't want to have like a light on me, but it looks like everything else.
Perfect. And we did get one more question in. Students asking how they do actually sign up for these cards and resources.
Absolutely. So I would definitely recommend emailing our basic needs at csuci.edu account. In terms of the hot meals, it's going to be kind of obviously when we're in person, because right now we aren't really doing that program because we don't really have that available. But once we're in person, you can definitely reach out, you can reach out now and we can talk about the resources that are available to you. So we kind of work with students on an individual basis and really better assess what the need might be, and then we can provide support from there.
Perfect. Well, if anyone else has any other questions, please put them in the chat. We have about 3 minutes left. But if not, thank you so much, Chelsea. This is some great resources on campus, and I'm so glad to hear that our students can start using some of these now as they're like starting to get ready to come to campus. So that's really great to hear that we support that. But thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful night.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to CI.